And what are your thoughts? I'm just getting information on the bill banning clothing, for example, Barnaby, again on the gun reform. They're saying that all of our Olympic shooters' clothing has been banned. It's a world first ban on tweed hunting jackets. Now, of course, we're not taking away at all what's happened in Bondi and the devastation. But if we look at this further and we dig deep, I mean, what's your reaction to that?
What I'm seeing here, Janine, is absolute overreach by the government. They're blaming everybody else, but let's be honest here, Janine. They've managed to come forward with a piece of legislation which both One Nation and the Greens don't support. Now, that takes a special type of idiocy and a special type of incompetence to be able to do that. But the Labor Party have managed that. Now, One Nation have been very clear from the very start that this is an affront on the public square and people's ability to discuss ideas, and certainly ties in recreational shooters and farmers for a crime they never committed. And now the Labor Party are running around trying to blame everybody else for their total and utter incompetency in creating a net that is so wide that it catches a whole range of issues and really is not specific to the issue that it needs to be dealing with, which is Islamic fundamentalism. If they just focus on the core issue, this would have been a much more easier 2 days that are coming our way in the coming week.
Well, it doesn't look like they are, but if we look at what they did bring in, or they said they were going to bring in, is, you know, in line with the 1986 laws from John Howard from the Port Arthur massacre. How can we justify it's $1 billion from a monetary point of view for the taxpayers, but also when we read other people that are experts in finance, that they say it's going to be a lot more expensive than that?
Well, you can't. And we also have a range of states and territories, I think the Northern Territory being one, who are just not going to participate. This is a farce. You have states that are very unconvinced or don't want to participate in it. And you know what they're going to buy, Janine? They're going to buy garbage firearms. I can assure you of that. The firearms that would be handed in if this thing ever got off the ground would be the firearms that were never the problem. Illegal firearms, and they're there in abundance. Believe you me, Janine, if they can't stop illegal cigarettes, they certainly will not be stopping illegal firearms. And I don't think anybody who has ISIS sympathies is going to say, well, you know, that's it, Jack. We'll just have to hand in our firearms and it's all over now. We got nowhere to go. Well, geez, they uked us, didn't they? Of course, they're going to hold on to their illegal firearms and their pipe bombs and all the other equipment and tools of terror that they hold. And the people who will be obviously affected will be the law-abiding farmers and recreational shooters. And as we've seen in regional areas, the reason we have recreational shooters, see, farmers have their own farm, but a lot of people come onto your farm, Janine, onto your property, as they do on my property, my family's property, because that's how they recreate. It's a cheaper alternative, to be quite frank, than going to the coast, and they camp. And that's how they love their nation. How can you love your nation if you're never allowed to step foot on it? And when you take away recreational shooting, you take away the capacity for people to come onto the Australian continent, onto the Australian soil, and participate in a fulsome way that gives them a love of this nation, which I think is absolutely core to us maintaining the nation we have. Now, I see the firearms we're using there. People do not come onto our place with Colt 45s and belt-loaded machine guns and automatic shotguns. This is, you know who has them, Janine? Criminals. Criminals do have those. And they're not handling their firearms. I can assure you of that.
And we're running out of time, Barnaby, but what do you think the impact potentially is going to be on these limits, these buybacks from, you know, pig farmers? I mean, I'm hearing there's huge amounts of feral animals, pig shooters, yep. And, you know, because it's like a toolkit for a mechanic, they tell us. You need lots of different equipment or golf clubs or what have you.
Sure.
So how are we going to minimise that, and what would be the impact on what we're seeing on our farms?
Well, what it'll be is, first of all, I mean, people will comply because they're law-abiding, but it'll have no impact whatsoever on radical Islamic fundamentalism and the desire and the belief they have that it's okay to murder innocent civilians in broad daylight at a beach in the middle of Sydney. It's not going to have any effect on them whatsoever. It's going to have an effect on us, but not on them. Now, what we have high-caliber rifles to put down stock, to put down a beast, for instance. You have low caliber rifles to deal with things such as rabbits and other pests. You have shotguns for other mechanisms of sort of wide dispersal of shot for things such as rabbits up close. I mean, we have to. It sounds odd, but if you live in country areas, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like us saying to you, well, why do you need? When they say, why do you need 10 firearms or 4 firearms? Well, why do you need 4 bedrooms? Why do you need 3 bathrooms? It's ridiculous. If you've got all that public transport, why do you need 2 cars? I mean, why don't we come up with a whole range of laws that just arbitrarily go into people's lives and say, from now on, because you've got 3 of you in the house, you're only allowed 3 bedrooms, you should be able to do it with 1 bathroom, you're only allowed 1 car. You would say that's an abhorrence. And we see it like that in country areas because we say, why come into our lives?
Well,
Why once more are you there?
Yeah, we've got to wrap it up, Barnaby, but it's certainly having an impact on how people are voting as well, because that's what they're certainly telling us, and quite a few are moving to One Nation at this point in time. But thank you very much for joining us as always. Thanks.